Welcome back. So the high flexural strength of zirconia lets us have a more conservative preparation. How do you really know how much to reduce for the ideal prep? This video is going to be a more detailed discussion of prep guidelines. So material thickness is what we're talking about here. In zirconia, an anterior crown only requires 0.8 millimeters all around. Posterior crowns traditionally needed 1 millimeter of material thickness. However, with the new Katana 1, we only now need 0.8 millimeters of thickness. That sounds like a very small amount, 0.2 millimeters, but that can make or break your restoration design if we under-reduced. Veneers take 4 millimeters reduction. And then inlays and onlays, we like to have about 1 millimeter of material thickness in there. When we're making bridges, we talk about connector sizes to keep the strength of the bridge. An anterior should be 12 millimeters squared and posterior should be 16 millimeters squared. But once again, because of the increased strength of Katana 1, we now only need 14 millimeters squared. So fractures are usually due to inadequate reduction. So we want to prep for the material. That's really important. So to ensure we have enough space for the minimal thickness, we want to use something like an occlusal reduction burr to make it easy. These are an example from Meisinger, and I like to use a 1.5 millimeter reduction burr to achieve a minimal material thickness of about 0.8 to 1.0 millimeters. A 1 millimeter reduction burr is really great for the anterior linguals because most of us tend to under-reduce in that area. This is an example of a burr kit that I made up for myself to do all my preps for all types of restorations. So once again, prep for the material. Why are rounded preps so important? To prevent overmilling, which we're going to talk about in a sec. We want rounded transitions and incisal edges. We want a 2-plane reduction in the posterior and then a 3-plane reduction in the anterior, and about a 6 to 8 degree taper for the axial walls. We really prefer a chamfer or a shoulder prep margin, and then we want to finish off with a fine diamond or a soft flex disc, or both, just to make sure everything is super smooth. This is a graphic that just shows you contraindications of what we don't want to see in our preps. So what exactly is overmilling? Overmilling occurs when the burr is unable to accommodate the area that's smaller than the size of a burr, especially in the cusp tip and the sharp line angles. That can result in excess cement spaces and a weaker restoration. But this is less of an issue with pre-sintered zirconia blocks. The shrinking of the crown results in shrinking of the overmilled areas, and we end up with a better fit. So it's kind of like you use a smaller burr for milling. Zirconia crowns can still fracture if your material is too thin, so really do pay attention to your preparation guidelines. I hope this preparation guide has been helpful and useful. In the next video, let's go over the workflow for Katana and one-visit dentistry and the administration setup.